It's been an interesting 50 hours or so. We have on the 27th of July this letter from Dario, which we'll go through in a bit. And of course, it came right after the Kimi K3 open weight release, which was released on the 27th of July as well. Definitely not a coincidence there. And around the same time, we also had this leak, which was from the DeepSeek investor meeting. Just basically asking for more computes, which I actually think is intentionally timed to put pressure on perhaps the Chinese government or the suppliers or someone else to give DeepSeek more compute. But that's probably a topic for another day, and we'll see how that plays out in the future. That's my prediction, at least. But Anthropic, with their thought process, is quite frankly not surprising. Dario has always wanted, in my opinion, to maintain some kind of monopoly or duopoly of the AI space, being Anthropic and OpenAI. They want to hold, especially the Western side, especially the Western technology companies, to only use Anthropic and OpenAI and force that to happen purely through regulation. And that's what this letter is asking for. If we scroll down to the bottom, he lays out the risks and his concerns, and he's basically asking for government intervention so that, in my opinion, Anthropic can maintain their duopoly. A lot of this is kind of ironic in many regards, and I think one of the interesting ones is the recent concern where Hugging Face got attacked in this one, and it was caused by OpenAI, the other side of the Anthropic OpenAI side of things. And what was the model that defended them? It was the GLM 5.2. So it was the very Chinese model that blocked the cybersecurity attack on Hugging Face that Dario wants to ban. We're very, very curious there. Now, what does this really, really mean? I think everyone, or a lot of people at least, can read between the lines in terms of what Dario is asking for. And it's been very interesting because there has been many US companies, as you can see here, that they signed a letter supporting open weights models, right? And they've even accused Anthropic of wanting to ban open weights model. Well, that's exactly what they're asking. They're asking for government intervention, and of course, because they have been lobbying so hard to the government about AI models, they're going to have a foot in the door, right? As opposed to non-US companies wanting to influence the government, they can't do so. So with that in mind, they're going to have a leg up of whatever they release to the market, right? And by doing that, they're going to, in my opinion, have like this kind of foothold in the Western technology sphere. Even if you were a competitor, would you have the resources to compete with Anthropic? Even if your model was superior to Anthropic's, would you be able to compete with them and go through all these hoops that they have set these up intentionally to make it harder for other people to do business? And I think that although some of these things may be legitimate concerns from Anthropic themselves and OpenAI themselves, it's definitely self-serving. I don't think anyone can look at this and read it with a straight face and believe, well, Anthropic doesn't seek to benefit from this. And I think that's one of the big challenges here. Even in their mission, it's, like, for example, for the alignment concerns. The question then is, well, who is going to do alignment? Is it the government? And who is going to inform the government of the alignment? Well, I can assure you it will be Anthropic themselves. It's almost in a situation where they themselves are going to be the ones who, they're the watchmen themselves. And who's going to watch watchmen? It's definitely not going to be the US government. I can assure you that it's going to be the AI companies lobbying the US government to do that. The ironic thing is, if you click on this article, it is actually talking about the OpenAI and Hugging Face situation, which was caused by OpenAI themselves, right? This is not a situation that was caused by a foreign interest or a foreign model. Instead, it was OpenAI losing control. So the very point that he's making, ironically, is, well, challenged by the very point that they're trying to make. It does not matter whether it comes from China or anywhere else. Well, it came from OpenAI. So, well, it's quite a self-serving kind of article. That's my thought process on the challenges that Dario is going through. He's trying to justify himself and trying to make himself look like the good guy. But we have to remember, as always, where are the interests and where is the money? Of course, there's Anthropic and OpenAI looking to IPO soon. And they surely would hope to gain just that little bit more edge by having a little bit more support anywhere and any way they can. So in many regards, it's not surprising that they've put out this article. And of course, it must be intentional that they put it out on the same day as the announcement of Kimi K3, the open weights. There are never coincidences here. There's always opportunistic people. And I think that's the lesson that I think we should consider. If someone with a vested interest does something like this, why did they choose then? Why did they choose that particular time? Why did they choose those particular words? There's always a reason, and if we follow that train of thought, we'll hopefully uncover the truth.